10 heures du matin, 10 a.m. Good morning, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. My name is Fabien Cousteau. I've met some of you here. I don't know if I've met you out there on the World Wide Web. I am a third-generation ocean explorer, aquanaut, and conservationist. I'm also proud to be a founder or co-founder of the Fabien Cousteau Ocean Learning Center and Proteus Ocean Group. First of all, I want to say thank you to Monaco for having me here today, and for all of us, volunteers are most important because that's how everything works. The future of oceans, future of ocean exploration. It always astounds me that we're still talking about the same thing when there's so much of a bright future for the future not only of humanity, but the future of ocean exploration as it pertains to us. Now, one of the things that we tend to talk a lot about in these economic forums is the value of things. I'm only going to say this in the beginning because I don't have time, but we are calculating things in ways that unfortunately are very inaccurate. We touch on some of the tangibles that we have an account for, but we don't account for all the intangibles. What is the value of the oxygen that you're breathing today? What is the value of fair weather on crops? What is the value that you feel emotionally when you're walking on the beach after having spent an entire year working hard so that you rest your soul and rest your eyes on a beautiful sunset over the horizon? And these things have intangible values that are intrinsic to our well-being as a species and play fundamental roles in the future that we give not only to ourselves, that we're forging for our future generations. Now we look at the tangibles. Yeah? For example, when we look at the blue economy, it's been stated that it's worth about $2.5 trillion, about the 7th largest economy, or the size of the GDP for France, for example. To this I say it's a start, but it doesn't give the real value of what this planet, and more specifically the ocean world, that makes this planet so unique. Because at the end of the day, without the ocean, there is no future. Without a healthy ocean, there's no discussion that is going to solve the fundamental problems that we're facing today. Feeding people, having healthy populations, looking at the symbiotic relationship of our life support system, whether it's microplastics or other things. And so, when we dive into these things, we have to be very conscious of the fact that in our every deliberation, it is already flawed from the beginning because we don't have all the information. Now, with that said, for those who may be not veterans of life, maybe a little bit younger on this planet than some of us, I grew up in a very odd world from the bottom up. Going scuba diving from the ripe old age of 4 years old. The ocean to me, and maybe that's why I'm so biased, was my classroom growing up. I was admittedly, and I apologize to the teachers in the group, I was a terrible student in class because I was always looking out the window for the next adventure, the next expedition, the next immersion into this amazing, magical alien world. And it opened up a whole new perspective, maybe looking from the bottom up, of the value of ocean as it pertains not only to our economy, to our society, and to the intrinsic nature of connectivity. And it's thanks to a gentleman by the name of Jacques-Yves Cousteau. I don't know if any of you know the name, but for a few years, he seemed to be very influential in many people around the world. And on a personal level, as my grandfather, he and my grandmother were intrinsic in the formation of trajectory of what I've dedicated my life since. And I can't thank them enough for that. I'm sorry, I have to look over here because there's a syncing issue. But one of the wonderful connections with Monaco is I also got a chance to visit them who were residents there for many decades. And as they had forged as pioneers in modern-day ocean exploration and bringing those stories of adventure to the world, we're able to look and share with the community at large, the local community, of course, in Monaco, as you may recognize some of those faces, and the community at large, the new discoveries, the new technological innovations, whether it was working with MIT for side-scan sonar or co-developing the aqualung, which the scuba divers out there may recognize as the thing you stick in your mouth to be able to venture forth in this alien world, and so on and so forth. All those technologies that we're still using today to go longer, deeper, and further in our understanding of why ocean is so important to our everyday decisions. And for the better part of 4 decades, not only was my grandfather the director of the Monaco Museum, who's doing fantastic work in ocean research and conservation, but also playing a vital role in being able to infuse those next generations with an understanding and a passion and a curiosity for the value of ocean. Let me go contrary to what I've been taught in school, which is the ocean represents 73% of our planet's surface. Well, this is a fallacy, because when we start talking about two-dimensional perspectives, we're missing the 99% or the 3.4 billion cubic kilometers of volume that the ocean represents as a living space. And it is responsible for over 60% of the oxygen that we breathe, as I've mentioned before, and many other things as well. And although we talk about fishing practices and we talk about trying to create MPAs and so on and so forth, we're again missing in that conversation and in those decision-making practices some of the fundamental perspectives that enhance and enrich the conversation so that we can make those better decisions. And platforms such as Monaco and the Principality are fundamental, and many of you here in the audience who have a role to play in that perspective are essential for us to infuse the 8.7 billion people and growing on this planet to the understanding, whether they're on the ocean front or right here in Davos, Switzerland, skiing on top of a mountain, you're skiing on the ocean. And with that, it is a fundamental aspect of your daily life. And without that understanding and that perspective in our daily decision-making, we cannot imagine or dream to solve the problems that are facing us today. And I can't emphasize that enough. Now, I don't have that much time, so I'm not going to go into the deep discussions, but we're just very honored to be part of that journey as a family to join in forces with others out there, including the Prince and many others, to be able to make a positive impact on the world by making those better decisions. Now, those decisions may be painful. Those decisions may be opportunistic. And those decisions will most definitely benefit our future. And that's something we have to remember. These are not costs. Yes, we have incurred a large debt with regard to nature, but these are opportunities. And this is something that I want to make sure that we understand. When we talk about the bad news, and we talk about the negative perspective of all things are lost, we are already becoming self-defeatist. And this right there is going to be the fundamental challenge, is changing our perspective to one of opportunity, to one of understanding that although the challenges may be monumental and global in nature, we have an opportunity to leverage those challenges, just like nature does when a disaster happens, and look at those innovative practices, those opportunities to look at new technologies, new ways, new approaches, and symbiotic relationships amongst different cultural groups to leverage each other's understanding of those challenges and of those opportunities. That breeds the ability for us to give not only ourselves, but the next generation new opportunities to make a living and to live in that symbiotic relationship with our ocean. I'm a big technology buff, sometimes playing with toys like submarines, submersibles, excuse me, technically. And that is, these things are wonderful. AUVs, ROVs, submersibles, wonderful ways to get places a human being simply cannot do to our limited physiology because we've divorced ourselves from whence we came. I don't know what your understanding is of evolutionary practices in different species, but if you share my thought, we were born of ocean, right? We developed from the ocean and decided to crawl up on land and become terrestrial creatures. It's very shameful, by the way. Anyone who's immersed themselves in the ocean might be able to appreciate that it's like going back into the womb. For the first 9 months, 10 months of our lives, we are ocean creatures, regardless. And as such, striving to learn more about our life support system, the ocean, is about pushing those boundaries. And when we use those technologies, they give us perspectives and data and other approaches that give us the ability to go longer, deeper, and further in certain ways. But we lose that tactile sense that makes us human beings. Immersing ourselves as human beings in our work, in our adventures, and quite literally in the ocean, gives us a very different language, a very different understanding of our connectivity. And so with that, whoops, I hit the wrong button. My apologies, everyone. There we go. With that, being able to go into, I can't see where okay, there we are. Going and immersing ourselves quite literally as human beings, at least those who have the adventurous spirit, who want to go beyond the blue veneer and look what's behind the curtain, and to be able to risk going beyond the box and the boundaries, and understanding that by doing so, we don't do the status quo. We learn new things. We have a better infusion of knowledge, and therefore we can add to the conversation every year and hopefully the better decision-making process as an evolutionary one. I had the chance a few years ago to lead a team in an unprecedented mission called Mission 31. 6 of us went down to the world's only remaining undersea marine laboratory called Aquarius. It's a glorious 43 square meters internal. So if you live in Zurich or Paris or New York, you might be used to that with 6 of your best roommates. Sorry, French and English are mixing in my mind right now. And we got to push the boundaries to live and work underwater in saturation as aquanauts for 31 days. Now, 31 days. It was said it was impossible. NASA and the astronauts did 17, and that was anyone who tells me that things are impossible, especially with regard to ocean exploration, know that I'm just going to try and do it. So if you want to push my buttons, that's the way to do it. But what I knew was possible, despite the relative antiquity of the platform, was that we had 2 experiments we must make. One is how much knowledge can we learn from an underwater platform, an underwater marine research lab such as this, and do people still care? And so I'm happy to say that in both those cases, we were able to prove that in 31 days, we were able to do over 3 years worth of scientific research because of the accessibility to the bottom world and the ability to marry humans and technology on the final frontier of our planet. Hydrocarbon pollution, biodiversity depletion, predator-prey behavior, the metabolism rate of the coral reef ecosystem, so on and so forth. And all of this are fundamental data points that we can then analyze and give to the different approaches in our decision-making. Anyway, that made me go on to the next aspect of things, which is looking at the future of ocean exploration. Why are these platforms not in existence? Why do we spend over $270 billion in space research in private space industry that has been able to generate over 1,700 new businesses? I'm all about space exploration. I love it. I love technology. Sign me up if there's a round-trip ticket to the oceans of Europa. I'm there. But I want to come back here. Ask any astronaut on this planet what they stare most at, and they stare back at our planet Earth. It should actually be called Planet Ocean. It's a different discussion for a different day. But the reality is that no matter how far we push the boundaries in space, we have the opportunities right here on this planet to dive into an alien world rich with answers to the questions that we have set forth toward ourselves. Whether it's the next cure for cancer in terms of the chemical soup that it represents, or the next approach to renewable energy, such as OTEC, ocean thermal energy conversion, which can be leveraged especially for island nations to become a baseline renewable energy that has very, very low impact, done properly, to the ocean world. And the list goes on and on and on. But unless we push our comfort zone and go out and set forth into those adventures to learn more, leverage the desire to create new businesses, new innovations, looking at public-private opportunities, and really getting deep into, no pun intended, into the opportunities that the ocean represents and the challenges represent, we will not make change happen. I'm just making sure I'm in sync here. There we go. So innovative approaches, thinking outside the box, enough discussion, implementation, and action is needed. I have been privileged to go to over 1,400 of these kinds of presentations and platforms, such as the World Economic Forum. There's so much power and opportunity here. There are so many talented people that come together, decision makers from all walks of life, from the public sector, the private sector, and of course from government. Why is it that we cannot set forth in the pace that keeps up with the challenges of today? There is no reason. There are only excuses. And with that said, I'm looking at everyone here so that we can understand that those opportunities exist today. Making sure, there we go. Okay, sensor technology. So think about our planet as our bodies, if nothing else. And with that kind of perspective, sensor arrays would be the central nervous system that connects us human beings on land with the ocean's life support system, the circulatory system of life. And that's one aspect of things, but that's very remote, right? And that gives us data streams. And raw data streams are somewhat worthless without analyzing and crunching those into packets that are useful to industries and governments. And with that said, and I'm looking to make sure that I am on the same slide here. There we go. Okay. I believe it's time to look at not only sending out robots, using AI and all those things, but immersing the human being to create that human technological interface so that we can push the boundaries of the known and so that we can bring back two things. Not only those innovative approaches and those new discoveries, whether it's in robotics or in software or what have you, but also that telling capabilities that connects us, that make us human, that infuse the 8.7 billion people who we need to have on board with those decisions that need to happen as a global community, whether the challenges are local or international, so that we understand the direction that we all need to proverbially row in the same direction. And with that said, creating underwater marine research labs is the missing tool in the toolbox of ocean exploration. Satellites are great, ROVs are great, boats and diving, fantastic, but being able to get down there and stay down there for as long as needs be to be the pioneers on that final frontier is the last perspective in that ocean world that we've explored less than 5% to this day. Oh, I keep forgetting it's not connected to my laptop. So with that, I'm going to share with you a short 2-minute video that summarizes, as far as my current trajectory, the next fin step in ocean exploration.
Discovery, Roger, go for deploy. First Houston, contact with a test 1.
Before it was reality,
2, 3.
the moon landing was just a dream.
Okay, we checked all 4 systems.
A wide-eyed idea that hardly anyone thought could come true.
3, 2, 1.
Until it did.
That's one small step for man.
There was plenty of room for doubt along the way.
Where we are strong and where we are not.
But when a dream is audacious enough,
We choose to go to the moon.
nothing can vanquish it.
They hold the key to our future on Earth.
50 years later, we're embarking on the next great mission,
Go for deploy.
led by aquanaut Fabien Cousteau. A mission so daunting, it has forced many explorers to stand down. Inspired by their attempts, these brave men and women are picking up the torch. Meet the aquanauts, who dream to live and work deep below the ocean's surface. This is our generation's moon landing. This is Proteus, the world's most advanced underwater station to accelerate the most pressing oceanic research. Together, we'll venture deeper into the place where life began, and the place that has the potential to save life as we know it. Because the research and knowledge that we will uncover down here will forever change the way generations of humans live up here. Let's make history while saving the future. Let's make history with Proteus.
There we go. There's a bit of inspiration, I hope, for you all. And it really is about that. It's about getting people connected with the ocean, whether you are a marine biologist, a technician, a government official, a head of state, a business owner. It's about infusing people with an appreciation and a love for our ocean world. And that's really what Proteus, the International Space Station of the Sea, is about. Sending out intrepid adventurers and specialists to go on missions to learn more about our ocean world and to bring back those solutions that we also desperately need. As a matter of fact, that perspective has gone global. As we've been going around and talking to people and looking at partnerships and looking how we can work with each other to create a global network approach, this communal platform is really meant to unite that approach and that ability to leverage each other's assets and strengths so that we can keep pace with the challenges that we've set forth to ourselves and generate those solutions for those next generations. Have them dream, have them come up with those abilities to be able to help us rebalance that equation that we've set off. And I don't have that much time. Normally it's a 1-hour presentation, so I'm going to go on from there. But that network approach really is the most important. Looking at those researchers, those aquanauts. By the way, did you even know that aquanaut was a thing? There are fewer aquanauts in history than there have ever been astronauts. And the irony in that statement is that before you become an astronaut, you first have to become a scuba diver. Ha-ha. So, with that said, the storytelling is really my heartstrings, because that's the way I grew up in my family, and being able to invite people, whether in reality or virtually, to be able to be part of that adventure. The storytelling is part of how we get to connect people and inspire people to make those decisions and those choices. And so platforms like this can highlight the solutions that are coming out of the research in ocean exploration. And whether it sounds tangential or direct, the ability to be able to show that data, show give that resource to the world is of paramount importance, in my humble opinion, because the ocean is a communal bank account. That natural resource bank account cannot go bankrupt because there are no bailout loans in nature. And so therefore, by looking at that perspective, we can refill that communal bank account so that we can all benefit from it, whether it's the local fisherman or the head of state in Europe or what have you. At the end of the day, we are all interdependent, thanks to the connectivity that our ocean brings to us. And that's really where the education and the storytelling come in. I'm going to wrap this up by saying it's all about bringing the public-private partnership opportunities. Blessed again that our team has been able to bring in over 50 partnerships for this particular endeavor, and the door is wide open, as far as my perspective is concerned, for all of us to work in one symbiotic relationship. I don't know where I am. Sorry, guys. There we are. So creating that future of innovation, vision, ingenuity, and resolve, it's on all of us to do this. It's not one little scuba diver that's going to make a change. It's all of us working together and using the knowledge and understanding and passion that we have, and resources, of course. So I'm going to end this with a quote that my grandfather used to tell me when I was a child, which is very simple. People protect what they love. They love what they understand what they're taught. And with this, I say that together, and only together, can we change the course that we set for ourselves for a brighter future, to give back to those future generations what we've taken for granted. And I very much look forward to us making a better tomorrow. Thanks to all of you, thanks to your time, and thanks to all of your efforts and your passion. And thank you for having me. Merci, Monaco.